Everyone, welcome to the main cut. I am your host Jade, and today we're sitting with a powerhouse stylist, Nita Stowe, the founder of Healthy Hair Couture, a salon and wellness destination built for serious hair healing. Based in Dallas, Nita has made it her mission to make sure every woman looks good because there's no real reason why you shouldn't, regardless of your hair texture. And with over 10 years of experience and certified expertise in hair loss prevention and restoration, Nita blends cosmetology, science, and compassion in every service that she offers. She's built an adamant following among influencers and celebrities that are looking for precision cuts, color, and extensions, all executed with unwavering commitment to hair health. And not to mention, she's also a member of Naima Lafon's mentee group, Black on Set. So today we're going to be talking about Nita's journey, how she's gotten to where she is today, and for those that are seeking to follow a similar path, what they can learn from her. So yeah, let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Nita. We're so lucky to have you.
Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
No, I mean, thank you for being here because we know that things are busy for everybody, especially for stylists. So we're really lucky to have some of your time. But let's introduce you to the audience properly for those who don't know you. So tell us a bit more about how you got into the hair industry. How did you get to where you are today?
I believe I got into the hair industry like as a young child. Definitely playing with my mom and my aunt's Barbie doll heads. Like they had the heads from the 60s and 70s, and I would just go to my grandpa's house and see them in a corner, and that's how I started playing with them. Now, originally my grandma did hair, but she passed before I was born, and so I'm actually named after her. And so I believe, something was passed down, but after playing with those Barbie doll heads, like I feel like that was like, okay, I like this, I love this, this is fun. So I say that's how I got my interest in hair, and then just starting to do like friends in school and do their parents, and then it just transferred, from middle school, high school to college.
No, I mean, that's amazing to hear. And I think a lot of people that we've interviewed have said that they started off in a similar way. It was like curiosity when they were a child, right? And playing around with like Barbies or dolls or other things. So, how do you think that kind of like playful experimenting in your early years shaped your passion as an adult as you've started to become or as you became a stylist?
I think it shaped my passion because it was something that I got joy from doing. It didn't feel like a chore. It allowed me to express myself. Um, I would see different, hairstyles, and I'm like, I would do it this way, or I would see something and get curious and say, okay, how did they do that? So that made me say, like, okay, when I get home from school, I want to go back to the Barbie doll heads. I want to practice that. I want to get better at it. So I'd say that's pretty much how it like shaped my passion, and also with my mom letting me be so focused on that, like not worrying about me not wanting to play outside, but rather, you know, going and like, okay, no, I saw a style I wanted to try today. Like, so I'd say that shaped it as well.
Oh, now that's amazing to hear. Also, that you had that support from your mom as well, because I think it's really easy for parents to be like, "Oh no, go do this," or "do that," or anything else other than you playing with toys and
Yeah.
and like playing around with their hair. So it sounds like you had a lot of support to pursue your passion as well.
Yes.
And I mean, let's talk about when you got to college, and in school as well, because you've said that clients traveled to see you, so people were coming to you. You weren't just it wasn't just a case of you're doing the hair of friends and family who know you, who are kind of local to you, who can get to you. So as it got to that stage of your career where you were getting that earlier momentum, what was that experience like, and how did it influence some of the decisions that you then made?
That experience it was fun, and at the same time, um, it started shaping how I handle business today. So when I
Mm.
started doing friends and students in college. Shout out to Grambling State University. That's where I went, HBCUs. But when I started doing students there, they would start telling their aunts and their cousins and things like that. So Grambling is a small town in Louisiana, and then you have neighboring or like surrounding cities where you have like Shreveport, which is like an hour away, Ruston, that's like 15 minutes up the road. Then you have Monroe, which is 30 minutes. Then you get into like Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So once I started doing like classmates' hair, they would tell their aunts and say like, "Hey, I know somebody who did my hair. You should come to her." And I also think it was because my prices were so cheap. Like what I was charging back then, it's probably the cost of a meal at McDonald's right now. But I think it was my prices. I think it was me being young and professional, and I also definitely know it was my skill set. So um, they started coming, and for me, it was just kind of like, you came from where? And so for me, it was like, okay, take this seriously. Don't waste people's time. Be mindful and thankful that somebody took the time to come out, because you got to think about it. They passed, I don't know how many hairstylists when you're traveling 5 to 6 hours coming to meet. So I definitely took that. I didn't take that for granted. So that translated to some of the processes and like policies and guidelines I have now. So that's how it kind of got started with people traveling and things like that.
I mean, that's amazing to hear because that's the biggest challenge for stylists, right? It's not just getting the first few clients, it's getting to a point where people recommend you because that's how you pull in your client base. It's people discovering you, which is hard enough, but then how do you get to that point where people are telling their friends and their family and you got that really early on because you were good? And like you said, maybe a bit because of your prices, but how did that then start to influence some of those business decisions that you made, like things about your pricing? Did it influence you there when you got to a point you were like, oh, okay, people are ready to travel, which means they're also ready to pay?
So for me, my logic was be be great at a good price. Because number one, I'm on
Mm.
a college campus. So here I am, a little girl from Springfield, Illinois, coming down, learning like, oh, okay, this is how y'all do hair down here. This is how, this is the style. So one, I had to learn that. But me having that low price point, I definitely think um it didn't inconvenience me. I think it let people come to me more because again, you got somebody two doors down probably doing sew-ins the same way I'm doing sew-ins, but she may not be as quick and thorough as me. She may not be as professional as me. She's not giving the same quality of service as I'm giving. And so for me, my reason for my pricing was be good, but be affordable. We are on a college campus. Um, Everybody doesn't have somebody, like a parent sending them money. Some of us were using our work study. Some of us were, doing odd jobs. So that was my focus, to cater to my fellow classmates because we weren't rolling in dough at that time. So to me, it was like, let me make it affordable so that they can get their hair done. I'm still on your mind and you look good. So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's I think when you're starting out, it's important to make sure you're positioning yourself right, and that's what you did. Is like, how do you position yourself not just through the quality of what you're giving, but in terms of like some of the pain points that people might have, especially as students. Students deserve to look and feel good as well, but it's not like they can afford $200 like per hairstyle because quite frankly they need to pass pass their studies and live and cope at the same time.
Yeah, there's like a hierarchy, like things you got to worry about.
Yeah. And they don't want their hair to be one of them. And it's great that you made that really accessible to them, and by extension, you grew, and that's played a part in helping you get to where you are today. And you said that your salon focuses on pairing style with hair health, which I think in this day and age is something a lot of people forget. There are a lot of people that will focus on the aesthetics, like the look, and compromise the health of their hair, or not even think about the health of their hair, just to achieve a certain style. So how did you develop that philosophy, and what does it look like in practice when a client walks in the door?
How I developed it was in cosmetology school. So I did cosmetology school um, down here in Dallas. That was probably like 2013, 2014. And I don't know if you remember,
Mm.
like that was kind of like the start of Instagram. And so people started having like boutiques and things like that. So that's where my name kind of came from, the couture. Like, okay, I can get you to look good, but I need your hair
Mm.
to be healthy at the same time. So I would have
Yeah.
people who would come and want me to maybe do something that I didn't think would be healthy for their hair. Um,
Mm.
and so I would say, like, I can get you to that style, but I need your hair not to be jeopardized. We can't jeopardize the integrity of your hair in the
Yeah.
process. So that's how I came up with Healthy Hair Couture, because if you're working with me, and I like to say working with me because we're teaming up and we're doing this. So that means like we're putting your hair on a regimen. The same way your body
Mm.
needs maintenance, your hair does too. So that's how I came up with Healthy Hair Couture, because I wanted women to look good. Um, but at the same time, we're growing your hair or we're reaching whatever hair goal that you have.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I mean, so when you've kind of mentioned a little bit this already, so when a client walks in and they've said to you, I want to do this with my hair, but it completely goes against what you think they should do. How do you approach those situations? Because I imagine that happens all the time when people are like, oh, I really want to, I don't know, relax and color my hair in the same day, or anything along those lines. How do you go about educating your customers and helping them come to your side of the fence, which is let's prioritize your health first?
For me, I learned early in my career that a consultation is essential. The
Mm.
consultation sets the tone. It allows me to understand what's your hair goals, what's your hair history, what's your major hair concerns, and it gives you a chance to ask me any questions that you may have in regards to your hair. If you had something that happened back in whatever year, you can ask me that, and I can say, okay, this may have contributed to why your hair is how it is now, or that's not so much a factor, but me hearing that's a concern, now I can keep that, in my notes and say, okay, this is a concern. So let me be mindful of that. Once I do the consultation, I let my girls know, like, this is this is the salon part, but when you leave here, I'm going to set you up with like a regimen and a maintenance routine so that we can double team it, because I don't want you to leave here and say, okay, well, it was cute when I was in the shop, but when I get home, I can't maintain that. So for me, it's like I don't want you to leave here feeling like you didn't get your money's worth, you didn't get a great experience, and that you're not educated. So when you come to me, definitely that consultation is essential so that I can tell you like, okay, this is what we need to do going forward for your hair, for your hair journey.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that consultations have started to become more prominent with stylists and with people, but there still seems to be I think customers that aren't into it as much. And we already live in a world where people do have those bad experiences, right? They go to a stylist or they go to a salon, it doesn't go the way that they would like it to. They have a really horrible experience, that can take them back steps in terms of their hair health as well. So for the people on the customer side that are listening to this, can you explain to them why consultations are such an important part of their journey and how they benefit from it so that they're more open to it in the future?
Consultations are beneficial for so many reasons. Um, one, I say like on a joking tip, but being honest, that relaxer that you had at 6 years old is a factor. If
Mm,
it affected your scalp to the point where, okay, some follicles are gone, it triggered you, something like that, I need to know that, because then that lets me know how to handle you in the appointment. Do you have triggers? I've had some women come to me and say, "Hey, I came to you from another stylist who used to do A, B, and C. I wasn't a fan of that. And so for me, if I can help that, I'm going to notate that and I'm going to say, okay, let me be mindful of that because I want her to be comfortable. And if that's something that's doable for me, I'm definitely going to do that for my clients. So that's one reason consultations are essential. Another reason, um, you could come in and have, you know, natural hair, but then you're telling me you want to be blonde and relaxed. That's doable, and it's doable. And I tell my girls, if your hair is healthy, if I see you taking care of your hair when you're away from me, and I can tell when you come back to the chair that if we can double teaming this thing, the world is yours. You can have whatever color you want. We can do, because I do have some ladies who are double chemical, which is, relaxed and color. So
yeah,
that is a possibility, but it's high maintenance, which is why the consultation is essential, because I need to let you know this is what you need to look forward to if we go this route. If you
yeah,
don't want to go this route, then here's your options. So that consultation is essential. I understand some women don't want to do it because it's just like, girl, do my hair. And I get that, but it's like, hey, look at it. And I just thought about this. Look at it like a first date.
mm,
Do you like wine, or do you like, another spirit? You get what I'm saying? Like, I need to know what you like, what you don't like, what your hair goals are, what's your concerns. That consultation is so essential. And I also do let young ladies know, if you don't care to do a consultation, I understand, but I may not be the stylist for you, because that is so important to me, so that I make sure I understand what you want, and I'm constantly working towards that when you come.
yeah. I think a lot of people don't do them. Again, they don't think they're valuable until I think what changes people is when they've actually had one. When they've had one and they've had the stylist that's like, no, in between our appointments, you need to go away and do X, Y, and Z. They do it and they're like, oh, this was so much better. I think I think that's the turning point for a lot of people versus saying upfront, oh no, I want to have a consultation. Um, so again, one for all of the stylists that are listening, if you don't have a consultation process, this is your sign to start one. And for customers that have avoided them, this is your sign to do them too.
Immediately, yes.
Yeah, like as of today.
Yes.
Um, and also, I mean, you've built out not just the fact that your salon is focusing on helping people to have healthy hair and build those routines, but you've made a name for yourself with the way that you use cut, color, and extensions. And which of those services are you most passionate about right now, or why?
I would say it would be a tie between cutting and coloring. I love all three of them the same, like as if it were my kids. But I love all three of them the same, but if I to answer your question, the one that I love the most, I guess right now, it would be a tie between cut and color. But cut is always going to be just a little more above, because when you have a good cut, and it's not just about having short hair and having a cut. I mean, when you have a good cut, whether it be a bob, a pixie cut, um, face framing layers, uh, hair that's hitting your shoulders or hair that's down your back, if that cut is on point, that is the foundation for your style. And if your cut is on point and you leave me, you don't have to worry about, okay, let me tuck this curl or let me do this because this is how it looked when it was in the salon. Your cut is going to speak for itself. Like I tell my girls, I don't want you to touch your hair for the next 2 weeks. Just let it fall into another style, because I don't need that damage. I don't want you to over process it. So I'd say cut right now. Cut is always going to have like my heart, because you know, um, not to be cocky, but I'll cut somebody under the table. Like I love it. Cut, like show me what your goal is and we will get you there. So I say cut is right here and color might be like right there. So yeah.
No, that's fair. I mean, I think people underestimate the amount of skill that goes into cutting, because when you're on the receiving end of it, it doesn't seem like something that's that big a deal. But the reality is that cutting is it's an art. It's actually a real skill, because you've got to think 10 steps ahead. You've got to think, what is this going to look like in 6 weeks' time before they come back to me? How are those layers going to fall? What will that look like? What could the shape turn into so that it still looks presentable even as they're getting ready to come back? So I think that there's a lot of underestimating what cutting actually is, stylists from the customer side. And even on the stylist side, actually, I would argue there are a lot of stylists that don't understand or value what it means to be able to give a really good cut.
I agree.
And like, what's been your experience of that as you were learning and as you were surrounded by other stylists? Did you find that as well, that there were people that leaned towards other services but like almost avoided cutting?
Yes. So when I started hair school, I originally had I can't remember if it was a mohawk or a chili bow, but I had short hair. And I remember coming, to Dallas from Illinois, from being in Illinois and being in Louisiana, and coming here and feeling like, okay, I need a hairstylist. And there wasn't anyone that I saw that I was like, oh, who did your hair? Like somebody that I wanted to ask who did your hair. So in cosmetology school, I took it upon myself to say, I want to be the stylist that I want to go to. Meaning, I want to be able to give somebody like that excellent cut that's precise, and they understand the blueprint of their hair so that when they leave me, they know how the layout of their hair, and they know how to handle it. So me having short hair helped me to, I guess, be more passionate about it and think about, okay, if I was in somebody else's shoes, this is what I would want. So that, I'd say that shaped how I, really got into cutting, because you could see I've had situations where I've gone to a hairstylist and the style was beautiful, but once the style unraveled, you would see like, okay, like this needs to be adjusted. So I was like, nah, I don't want to be that stylist. I want them to have A1 cut.
I mean, it also makes you a more diverse stylist, right?
It does.
Because the crux of like European hair is cutting, because a lot of like for them it is about the shape
It
more than anything else. So it actually opens up the doors for people being stylists of all textures when they learn how to cut properly.
Yeah, and if I could just add a note on that, a lot of their cuts are transferable to us. And
Mm,
I don't want us to think like, oh, I saw a cut on somebody, of a different
mm,
texture, race, or whatever, and think that they can't have that. A lot of their cuts are transferable to us. They're the same cuts. And some of their ways I've learned, and it's you can interlock it, I guess you could say, if that's the term I would want to use, but it's definitely transferable.
yeah, I mean that's an important one for people to remember because I do think that's something that people don't realize, whether it be the customers that don't realize or the stylist, is that there is a way of transferring it from one hair type to another. But the key is for you to know what you're doing and to have the skill to be able to see the how.
I agree.
And I mean, speaking earlier, we spoke about customer service, and you said that's something that you have always been good at. Um, and your reviews speak for themselves. You have plenty of 5-star reviews, plenty of people that are saying great things about your work. And I mean, there's one that said you restore confidence through your hair techniques. And so, how do you go about like educating and empowering your clients to maintain that confidence at home? Because what nobody really wants is to get their hair done, they go home, destroy it, and they come back to their stylist 6 to 8 weeks later, and you're kind of back to ground zero. So how do you go about like teaching your clients to maintain like a healthy and sustainable routine at home?
It starts with that consultation. I tell them by the end of the appointment, like before I style you out, I'll be I'll be able to gauge the temperament and mannerisms of your hair. And so then I
Mm,
tell them like by then I'll be able to tell you like, hey, this is what you need to do when you leave here. So this is going to be your routine. And I'll say like, this is what you need to sleep on, whether it be a scarf or a pillowcase or things like that. Um, in regards to the confidence, before they leave and before I style them out, I turn them so they can see their hair before it's curled. Because I want
yeah,
you to know, like, if you're, remember I said something about blueprint, you knowing that blueprint on your hair is going to help you so much because I'm not just doing your hair, you cute, and you like, okay, now what do I do when I get home? But for me to know that blueprint, to know that layout, I feel like that gives that layer of confidence so that they know, like, okay, I'm in front of Nita. She's showing me how to, play with my hair, style my hair. Then they can ask questions so that they're not leaving and wondering, okay, how do I do this? But also in terms of confidence, we talk about it in the consultation. Are you doing this because this is something that you want to do? Or is this something that, you just saw and this is an impulse appointment? Right? So you have some women that come who may have been recently divorced, who may have gone through something traumatic, and they're wanting to express themselves through their hair. No problem, right? Because hair builds confidence. You want to pour into your appearance, but let's make sure this is what you want to do, and you're not doing something that you're not going to love later because that's going to knock your confidence down. So,
yeah,
just I guess different ways I'll say I'll pour into them in regards to confidence and just educating them because I feel like that's something they need to know. Is hair education. Whether you stay with me or go with somebody else, you'll always have that information.
yeah, 100%. I mean, once people have learned a bit about their hair, it's that confidence, but also it can really change the way that people choose to show up with their hair. Like the difference between somebody that feels confident with managing their natural hair and therefore having it out more often, like versus being like, oh, I need to constantly put this in braids or I need to make sure that it's tied up in some way. But it can make a world of difference to the way that people just turn up and how comfortable they feel with doing that.
I agree. I agree.
Um, so no, I mean, it's also, I think it's great for stylists to hear that, so that again, it's thinking about how does that consultation process play a part in everything that happens with your client. It's not just about setting the tone with your relationship at the beginning, but it's also like core to maintaining your relationship with them throughout.
Yes. Yeah. The consultation is so essential. I'll say I didn't always do it, but when I saw the benefits of it, I can't say that I haven't stopped doing it since then. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's essential.
100%. And I mean, you've also, like, you know, you set up a suite based studio in Dallas, and there's a huge amount that you have to think about before you go about doing that. It's one thing knowing that, you know how to manage your clients, you know how to get people in the door, you know how to keep them. um, but then there's also deciding what kind of stylist you want to be. So, what are some of the pros and challenges of that business model of being an independent stylist and running a suite? And what advice would you give to stylists that want to go independent, given there are so many of them that are doing that straight away now? Like, they're coming out of beauty school, and a lot of them are going straight into working for themselves.
That's a good point. A lot of young ladies, or young stylists are doing that, and I think it's a good thing. I think it shows their confidence. Um, because if nobody else believes in you, you definitely have to believe in yourself. But again, it has its pros and cons. The pros definitely are you set your own tone, you set your own culture. Um,
Mm,
that was something that made me want a salon space so that I could set the tone for my clients because I didn't want this to be a place of stress. I wanted it to be a
mm,
place of peace. I wanted them to be able to come, unwind, and I wanted it to be a safe space for them to, take off that veil of the day and you're just, you're here enjoying yourself. So we have snacks, wine, like
mm,
music, things like that. Those are pros. Cons, I would say, I love the open format of the salon. You can turn around and hear somebody talking about something that's current news or something else, and it's like, oh, and you have a collaborative conversation. So I would say, like, in a suite, you may not have that team camaraderie. But at the same time, you build that with your clients, depending on the location of your salon space. You talk to other people within the building. So there's pros and cons. I definitely would say there's more pros than cons in regards to having a suite. Um, in my opinion. But for stylists that are just leaving school, if you have a good clientele, and you want to do a salon space, I say shoot for it. If you don't, I would say, something to consider is your overhead, your costs, your things of that nature. And I would say don't be opposed to going to a commission based salon. Um, or even a salon where you can do booth rental. I actually, when I graduated from cosmetology school, I was an assistant. And then I went to a commission based salon. And from that commission based salon, I built my clientele and then went to salon suites. So they have options. You have options. No one really told me about that when I graduated hair school. Um, so that was difficult to navigate. But I would definitely say if you do choose salon suites, weigh out your options. If you choose to stay in an open floor salon, weigh your pros and cons, and still set the atmosphere in your chair.
yeah.
Still set the atmosphere in your chair because there's a reason that person is coming to you. And something that one of my great uncles always told me was, don't run your stuff, don't run your business. And I'm trying to make sure I say it, in a professional way. But he always told me, don't run your business like the typical stylists of your age and race.
Yeah.
Okay, he always told me don't do that. He always said make sure that you're professional, no matter
Mm.
where you're at. I've been in some unprofessional environments, but one thing my clients can always say is when you come to my chair, I'm going to make sure I'm professional because I want you to enjoy your experience and I want you to be able to, come back and not feel like, I got to deal with that when I go. So, for young stylists that are just coming out, I would just say weigh your pros and cons and definitely set in your mind what you want your tone and culture to be.
An important thing to consider how you want people to feel when they leave.
Yes.
But that will help you to make all of the decisions that you need to when they're there. And also it'll help you to understand what kind of business that you want to run. Uh, people have kind of been through it. I think COVID being probably the hardest time the beauty professionals in general have had in like the past decade. Um, you went through it yourself. You learned a lot about how to manage your business, the financial side, the protocols, the self care. What was one key takeaway that permanently shifted your approach post COVID?
One, there were so many factors, but I say one mainly would be keep yourself at the forefront. Meaning,
Mm,
if you aren't good, your business isn't good, your clients aren't good.
mm,
That's a trickle effect. So I like how you said self-care during COVID because it was difficult to navigate because here you are, you have a salon space and they're telling you if you go in there, you can be fine. So definitely I'd say make sure you're good. So that means whether you have to have a therapist, some people of the same profession that you just talk to and bounce, thoughts off of, because that is what I would say sustained me, because some friends didn't understand what I was going through. Um, but my hairstylist friends did. So I would say make sure you're straight, and self care is essential. So whether that be a therapist, talking to, fellow, stylists, something of that nature, but just make sure you have that sounding board so then you don't, you know, let things run away. But I would definitely say that would be, if I had to say one thing, that would be it, because that I think sets the tone.
yeah. No, I mean, like I say, if you looked after yourself, you're in a position to look after other people. And self care can also be split into so many different things because there's the mental and the emotional, which I think is what a lot of people went through during COVID. But then there's also like the physical, because styling is very heavy on your body. You're on your feet all day. Your hands are the main thing that you use. So there's also like looking after yourself physically. And there's a stylist that I saw, I can't remember their name now, but they posted like their routine for how they look after their hands on Instagram. And I thought that was really interesting because I never even thought of it that way before. Like, oh, that's actually, you do have to make sure that your hands don't get tired, that they're not constantly sore and things like that. So, do you have any suggestions for stylists for how they can look after themselves whilst they're busying themselves with their clients?
There's a lot of them. I would say massages are essential. Um,
Mm,
Whether you're left or right-handed, you have to think you are constantly using that limb, and you're constantly doing like repetitive motions. So our
mm,
shoulders can get tight. Um, so massage is definitely essential. I would say some sort of like exercise. I'm not saying like, do CrossFit, but at the same time, whether it just be like a walk or something like that, just for
mm,
your joints, because we are on our feet. And something that I noticed when I first started doing hair is if you just come in stand on your feet, do hair, go home and repeat it day after day, you are not taking care of yourself. So I would say invest in good shoes, invest in comfortable clothes. They don't have to look, unkempt. They can still be cute and professional, but um, definitely invest in things that are going to be comfortable and not restrictive because that can hinder your body movement, that can cause stress, that can cause tension. Um, and a good floor mat, that's going to be your best friend. So, yeah, I would say those things would help in regards to taking care of yourself throughout your career.
Um, but I mean, besides that, besides the whole, focusing on your business, making sure that you're looking after yourself, you've been featured in like major outlets. You've been featured on AfroHair.com, you've worked with Olaplex, you've done collaborations that have shaped your brand. And I think one of the big things for stylists is how do they choose the right people to work with? Because the organizations, the brands, the companies that you work with are also a reflection of you and yourself. So how do you choose the right brands or the right people to work with?
For me, I'm pretty easygoing. With afrohair.com, I can honestly say that they've featured me a number of times, and just even though I don't know who the young lady that runs that page, just the energy, you can feel that, like, okay, this I'm okay with that. Working with
Mm.
Olaplex, I've had that opportunity through Black on Set, working with Naima Lafon, but then also I had a hairstyle that went viral some years ago, and they shared it, and to me it was like, okay, that felt good because it was like, okay, this is a space where they're starting to open up to textured hair, and they have done so much for textured hair. So that was something that I definitely loved and welcomed. So for me to work with a company, as long as it's and I hate to sound cliche, but as long as it's a good vibe and it makes sense to me, I'll do it. But if I don't feel that way, then I've had some pages where I've said, hey, do you mind taking um my artwork down, because I just don't want it featured on this platform. So I will say be mindful of that, but for the most part, I'm okay.
It is important to ask yourself those questions. Who do you want to be affiliated with? Because their brand becomes a part of yours by extension, and you don't want to be tethered or tied to the wrong brands that are like not investing or supporting your community, or that are actively doing work that you otherwise disagree with. So it is important to do that homework before you say yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I would definitely say look up the brand. Um, and because you'd be surprised, but I would definitely say look up the brand, and especially after everything that's currently going on, we're finding out so much about brands, and so
Mm,
it's essential to research like who they are, what they stand for. Is this something that they're really doing, or is this just a turning point and they're just trying to, grab you for this 2 seconds? So yeah, I agree with that.
yeah, no, I mean that's a really good point to make. And I mean, last question on our side, but I mean, let's looking ahead at the future for you. You have your own salon. You have been working on like campaigns. You've worked with different celebrities. So, what is next for you? What's the next big thing that's coming
I don't know. I have irons in the fire, right?
up?
I have irons in the fire. Some of them, we can talk about. Some of them we can't. One
Mm.
thing that I would love to share is I created a product that I will be releasing within a month. It's a hair perfume for women and for anybody that wants to use it. Because I believe just in people having like that luxury
Mm.
service, luxury product. So I created a hair perfume that will be out within the next month. It's called Flaunt, and I'll send you some. But yeah, so that's one thing I have coming up. Um, Other campaigns, I don't. I usually I'm like impulsive. So if somebody drops me an email and they're like, "Hey, come do this," I'm very much that girl that's like, "Okay, here I come."
Yeah.
So just in the future, I would say just to keep working, with my clients. I definitely want to continue building my clientele, um, and catering to my clientele. Um, but a lot of New York Fashion Week, a lot of, things out there, um, and wherever somebody needs me, if that makes sense. But yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense, and I mean for anybody who is wondering about the hair perfume that you'll have coming out, when there's a link to it available, we can also add that to our newsletter version so that people can check that out too. For anybody who's listening right now, we will also add links to Nita's social profile so that you can follow her and keep an eye on all of the work that she is doing at the moment. But I just want to say a big thank you to you, Nita, for sharing not only your story, but all the advice for the up and coming stylists, for customers that listen to our podcast. Without, people like you coming through, it's really difficult for people to find the information that they need to make better decisions. So thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing everything that you know.
thank you for having me.
Honestly, we're really lucky to have you. And thank you to everybody who's listened as well. So for those that have listened from beginning to the end, or have jumped in the middle, or who have listened to it bit by bit as they're in their car driving to work, we appreciate you being a part of our community. And if you've listened to anything today that's really resonated with you, please share with other people who will benefit from listening to this as well. Because the more we share, the more we build our community, the more people we can help in the long run. And yeah, again, a huge, huge thank you to all our listeners. Nita, another big thank you to you. And we will see you all on the next episode.